Welcome to Recovery Rising with Kelly and Reva, a podcast dedicated to exploring the journey of eating disorder recovery through real stories, advocacy, and awareness.
I'm Reva Van Vliet.
And I'm Kelly Das.
And each week we like to throw out the disclaimer that we're not medical professionals. We don't specialize in eating disorder or mental health, but we are just two people that have been through it. We have lived experiences to share. And so if you or someone you love is experiencing an eating disorder, please reach out to a licensed medical professional and someone who preferably specializes in eating disorders.
Well, welcome to Recovery Rising with Kelly and Reva. We have a special guest with us today, Ashley Green. And the theme of today is it's gardening plants, because we know plants have that healing element to it, but also I think too, caring for plants can help us to care for ourselves, which is a big thing in recovery. So we would like to introduce you to Ashley Green. So Ashley, why don't you tell us a little bit about your store and how you got there, and because you do a lot of things.
Yeah. Let's see. So I opened the store a handful of years ago. So my journey kind of began when I was going to school originally for teaching. Mm-hmm. And I got into the internship, and I was like, oh boy.
You actually have to
teach kids? Right? I'm the authority. They should not allow me to be the authority here. So I felt every day I was getting up and I felt like I was being put in this box. It was like, you have to teach what they want you to teach, and you have to behave the way they want you to behave and wear what they want you to wear and whatever. And I was like, this is not for me. So, but you know, that's what I'd been telling myself was for me the whole time. So then it was like, who am I if I am not this budding teacher that I thought I was going to be? So, I was watching TV and they were in a flower shop for like a brief moment on this stupid movie that I was watching. And I was like, ooh, that's what I want to do. So, I had at the time, shortly before that, I had a friend of mine she had really gotten into plants. And so she had lived, in Duluth, and she moved from Duluth to, she went to school in like Itasca Community College or something like that. And then she went from there to Fargo. And I always just kind of thought if I didn't end up having my son when I was 17, I probably would have just followed her around, and that would have been my journey, was following her. Mm-hmm. And, but when she went to Fargo, I remember she was experiencing a lot of just like, you know, I mean, Fargo was at the time, I think like winters are brutal out there and all of that. And she had gone out there to go for interior design. And she had this, like, that was her dream, is what she was always going to do. And when she was out there, she just kind of this like depression hit, and she was just kind of, I think she dropped out of college, and she was just, God, it was so long ago, 20 years ago at this point, but just a lot of like mental health stuff. And so she had started going to therapy and that kind of stuff. And they had prescribed her like a happy light and whatever. And at the time, I mean, would have been 18, 18, 19 years old. And it was one of those things where it was kind of the first moment in my life where I was like, wait, people are like unhappy, and like being an adult doesn't give you everything that you've always dreamed of. And and she had her little vitamin D light and whatever, and her therapist had suggested that she start surrounding herself with plants and that kind of stuff too. So that was kind of when I had gone to her apartment to go visit, and she just had plants everywhere, I was like, this is what I want. I want to be surrounded by plants. Mm-hmm. And then I just kind of started acquiring them. And then, so that was before the movie that I watched that changed the whole trajectory of my life. And so then it kind of made sense. I had gotten into plants and nurturing, that kind of stuff. And I had also had 2 little kids at that time. So I had my son when I was 17 and my daughter when I was 20. So it was kind of right around that time that I had started taking care, wanting to surround myself with plants and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So that was all of that happening all at the same time. And then went on to go have a flower shop and upholstery shop and all of that. So
yeah.
I mean, you do a lot, a lot of different things, from upholstery to plants, wedding floral. What ties it all together? You kind of got to that a little bit, but like, what is like at what's the heart?
The epicenter?
Yes. I think for me personally, if I have any downtime, even like I had like a 45 minutes from like going off and doing what I was doing this morning to then what I was going to come here and do this afternoon. And I was just kind of pacing around and I was like, am I hungry? Should I snack on something? And I kind of like poured myself some popcorn. And then I was just like, just moving around the house. We've got my nieces there and my stepdaughter's there. And Jesse kind of asked me, he was like, are you okay? And I was like, I just have a weird time to kill and I don't know what to do with myself. So really what it comes down to is it's like, if I have enough time on my hands, I get into trouble. I like a squirrel and it's just like root around. So what pulls everything together, it's really kind of I was at a brunch this morning talking about somebody had wanted to casually mention opening up a chocolate shop. And I was like, I've got the best idea for you. How about we do a chocolate shop?
I can attest to that.
Yes.
Everything's like you've already got the business.
I know, exactly. Tyler and I were talking about it yesterday where he's like, I think I'm going to start a business plan making business plans. And I was like, could you imagine? You just like make a business plan and then you just prepackage. Here's the business for you. Go and do it.
Absolutely.
Okay. As we're sitting here right now in our comfy chairs with like plush furnishings. What I need in my life, this is my next other business plan. And if anybody wants it, please, I will write the business plan for you. You can buy it for For the low, low price of $20,000. This whole business plan, start to finish, is yours. But I want the feeling of Saturday morning cartoons and cereal. Like I want a cereal bar, kind of like your granola bar idea, except I want it to be more childlike. I want to walk in. Yes, exactly. Yeah, I don't want granola and oats. I want tricks and I want Fruit Loops and I want like all of this and I want to be able to go up and get a bowl of cereal and then I want like ice cream. So then maybe if you've got like an ice cream wall and you can go get your own ice cream and you can combine with cereal if you want to. Exactly. And I want to come in and I want TV. I want all the TVs with playing cartoons and I want to sell, like you can sell robes and you can sell fuzzy slippers and you just come in and just like the escape of like your adult life to go back in. And I want to sit on a couch the way that like when you're a little kid and you've got littles, the feeling of Maple sitting, are we not dropping our real life kids' names? No. Like the size of Maple sitting on a couch, I want me sitting on a couch like that. So I want giant big furniture. Yes, big comfy couch vibes with like breakfast and just like you walk in and someone is just like you woke up and the parents are still sleeping and then you just kind of an adult in this world where you can do whatever you want. I would have my 40th birthday there. That's what I want. So really what it comes down to, how have I became the person that I am in today's day and age? It's because I've got too many ideas and not enough time to do it all. And if I don't do the good ideas that I have, then I get into trouble. So yeah.
Okay. Well, then you start making like breakfast.
Yes. Exactly. Business plans. Yeah. Or just feel a crushing overwhelm of everyday life. And I'm just like, I think I'll just eat and take a nap. So yeah.
Well, so we really like, I feel like we treat we all know this, we treat other things better than we treat ourselves.
Yeah.
I mean, like you mentioned, you were just getting into plants when you were nurturing your own growing human children. And I think with nurturing things, we also give them patience that we don't give ourselves. And so when we talk about like our dreams and our aspirations, we really put pressure on ourselves to like get it done right away. And we don't expect that of plants, of pets,
right.
potty training kids, things like that. So
you don't rub your kids' noses in their messes? No.
Okay. I've gone pretty far, not that. How do you see that though, like in your store, especially when you come, like I've just watched your store once and I had someone like, my wife is allergic to this plant, take it. But I'm sure you have very frustrated plant owners that are like, I can't get it to work, or, but again, they're beating up on themselves and not the plant.
Well, and I think too, it's like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole where it's like, this is where I want something to go. I've got a bathroom, I have no sunlight, and I have but I definitely want to have a plant in here. And it's like, okay, but you're not caring for it in a way that it needs to be cared for.
Yeah.
So or I really want this type of plant, but it's only like my office faces north or whatever. And it's like, okay,
exactly.
There are things that you can do. You can put things in places, but then also it's only going to be able to live there for so long. So if you're not giving it what it needs, and it seems so silly as like a plant, and it is something that, I mean, we could get really dramatic and be like, that plant is depending on you to care for it, whatever. But like, ultimately, yes, the stakes are very low for a plant. But I mean, I even remember my son had, when he was little, it was both the kids. So I think Erica was maybe a year. So Jacob was probably like 4. And they both were sick, and we went to the urgent care, and they both had low blood oxygen. And Erica was fine. She didn't need to be hospitalized, but Jacob had to go be hospitalized. And so at the time, this is when I was like, okay, plants are nurturing us and blah, blah, blah. I had brought a plant to him in the hospital room. And that plant, I was like, if this plant dies, it means that Jacob's going to die. Like very dramatic stuff, the things that we do to ourselves that are not mentally kind. Exactly. We were out of the hospital. It was a kalanchoe. Kalanchoes are not meant to be beautiful forever, but whatever. But like this plant meant that like, if something bad happens to this plant, something bad is going to happen to my son. And it's like, that was so unnecessary. Why do we need to do this to ourselves? I can just take care of a plant. And if the plant dies, it's like, yeah, life happens, whatever, toss it out. But yeah, it's the like, I don't know what it is, the need to have control over our environment, and then assigning meaning to things, and, looking for patterns where there are none or whatever. And it's just, or we can just wake up and try and exist in the world.
Yeah. We talk about that all the time, like uncoupling your belief system with behaviors or things that you did or didn't do, or how you show up in the world, like all the time. And so finding new, we talked about that last week, finding new ways of doing life and moving through life. And that sounds like kind of like your story, not only just with your store, but just like moving through life and just like finding what works for you.
Right.
I know that's what's been helpful for me too. It's like, just like with that little plant that you put in the wrong corner of your house, like that's not going to work for all. That doesn't mean another plant might not work there.
Right.
That's how we show up in the world. It's not going to work for what works for us isn't going to work for everybody else.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I love metaphors. So what that means.
Yeah. And that was, I mean, and it happens a lot too, where people, you come into the store and it's like, at what point, what is my obligation to like help guide you into this? If you want to just buy something, whatever, buy something. If you want to put something there. I think it also really bummed me out one time. Somebody wanted to buy, they had just redone their entire house with like this equestrian theme or whatever. And I had a chair that I was selling at this and it was a very different environment. It was down in Wayzata, and it was the Wayzata Art Experience, which I loved, and I had a great experience doing that art show. But this woman came in and she wanted to buy a chair, and she wanted it to look, I had done it a certain way, but she wanted the colors to be different. And at the time, it was fairly early on in my like business ownership and, trying to like establish myself and figure out my own way, whatever. And this woman came in and she wanted, I want that chair, but I want it to be different colors because I want to put it in my newly renovated, equestrian mansion, whatever. Because every handful of years, she's just changing everything over. Okay, no carpet. Now we're going to do cobblestone tile and whatever in the entryway. And so then she just came in with that same energy with me, where it was like, I like that chair, but instead of purple, I want pink. And how much is it? And I was like, I think at the time it was like a $500 chair, whatever. She's like, okay. And I didn't charge her any extra. I was so eager to, and I let her come in and abuse me in a way that was so just like, whatever it was, whatever compelled her to change over her entire life, and then to come in and, okay, fine, I'll change over this entire chair and I'll deliver it to you and whatever. And just the conversation that I was having with her about it when I was delivering it, she was just like, oh yeah, I just need something for this corner of my office right now. And that'll fit. And it was just like, I was so disheartened because I had put time and energy into it, and no extra money is going in that I'm getting out of it to change it all around just for her to have something like, oh yes, it'll be a fun little throwaway thing in the corner. And it's these little moments that you can just like, I'll never forget that woman, and I'll never forget her equestrian cobblestone entryway and, whatever. And for it to mean so little to her, and for, the rest of us, where it's like, it's a,
you
a big,
valued that.
exactly.
I mean, a big thing for you.
Yeah. And just finding ways to, keep, I don't know, whatever it was with her and whatever, but the compulsion to have power over whatever your space and whatever. So,
It is important to value our work and our time. And when you said you didn't put or charge extra for that, and you went above and beyond, and that was something I learned as an early entrepreneur, is like, yep, not going to put all that into consideration. I just want to get started and all that stuff. But people kept telling me, no, your time is worth something. Don't, try to devalue that just to get a client or a customer. And well, it made sense, but putting it into practice took a little while.
Yeah, especially, and when I envy people who just roll through the world with all of this like confidence and ability to say no to people. What would that be like? Nobody might want to your podcast. I shouldn't even be doing the podcast. Just the people who are able to wake up in the morning and to just be like, no, I have a boundary. And it's like, and what is it? How is it, nature versus nurture? Is it the world has made us devalue ourselves, or did we not learn to value ourselves? What came first,
Yeah. And I think, of course, there's a balance or a middle road, but I think that's what makes us so special.
Women, yes, I completely agree.
And people who show up as like community advocates and small business owners and friends, and like and of course, not saying that people who say no and are
they're fine too.
There's a balance again, but I think that softness and that like vulnerability is also so important to have in this like very like mechanic transactional work.
Right. And I think that's what makes everything so nuanced too, is it's like, where do you draw the line from being like selfish to having healthy boundaries? And like it's so difficult. I remember trying to have a conversation with Jacob about, so he's my 20-year-old son who, when he was just kind of starting to date and whatever, and you kind of start having the conversations of like, you have to talk consent and you have to talk about like not bothering someone, and like, especially when like Disney movies, they'll tell you just go after what you want and get the girl, whatever. And it's like, but also like, you can't do that. And then, trying to explain like, maybe there is a degree of like showing up and trying to prove your worth and value, but then, and it's like, how do you, if an alien plopped down and said, teach me how to be a human, it's like, how do you do that? Because yes, exactly. And what works for some people of having heart, it was like, okay, so we were sitting in the backyard last weekend, and we
watching the bees like TV.
Watching the bees like TV. Yes, we were watching BTV, and the kids kind of came out and like were hanging out around us, whatever. And we are the white trash neighbors in the neighborhood. We've got like, because I do furniture upholstery, we've got a couch that I just can't possibly let go of, that I'm like, no, I'm going to fix it someday and I'm going to do something, but it's been like rained on and the dog has destroyed it and whatever. And I know you can relate.
It's one of us volunteer.
And we all found each other. And so, yeah, our commune someday is like, yes, exactly.
Can see your white trash beacon.
Yes, and it's like, is it a smell or is it a sight that draws you in? And I found that in my husband, who is also, he is the white trash neighbor, and so he likes to tear apart motorcycles and four-wheelers and that kind of stuff. So, and he acquires vehicles because he can fix vehicles. We've got a big camper in our yard and a trailer in our backyard, and we've got another. Oh, I forgot about the other couch that's in the other backyard, and then we've got. And we've got like our weed garden, because and not like weed like marijuana. It's like actually like, we really tried to have a garden, and then it got overtaken with weeds. So we've got like 3 pea plants and like the tomato that died in the frost and then is kind of making a comeback. And then the rest are weeds and some kohlrabi.
And the cucumber that you don't know if it was a cucumber.
I was like, this is where I planted corn, and then grass started to sprout, and I was like, but that looks like we planted way more corn than I thought, but it's actually just like the grass weeds that look like corn. Yes. So we've got grass weeds over here, and then I was like, but that's definitely cucumber. And then my mother-in-law was like, I don't think that's cucumber. And I'm like, but you can tell that the bugs have eaten it, and so the bugs eat the things that we want to eat, right? No. Those are the cucumber weeds, and then the corn weeds, and a couple of kohlrabi, but. We're sitting there in our backyard watching BTV, and this guy comes like biking down the alleyway, and we were all just kind of sitting out there, and he says to Jesse, who was sitting there, he was like, hey, do you mind if I which, because he's also a metal artist, we've got a pile of scrap metal, and we've got a couple of like lawnmowers and like weed whackers and stuff that people have gifted my husband because he can fix them and whatever. And so this is how we acquire. He acquires things with engines the same way I acquire things to sit on. And so it's everywhere. And so this guy bikes down the alleyway, and he was like, hey, do you mind if I take this weed whacker? And Jesse was like, I don't really care. Go for it. And the guy was, then after a second, Jesse goes, well, you got to take them both. If you're going to take the one, take them both. And first of all, I was like, you're just like telling this guy to take them both. I would be like, oh, yeah, thanks so much. No, again, making it like this guy wants it. And, you know, my compulsion would be to like make it, do you want me to deliver it to your house?
When the bag is like, hold it for him.
You can't possibly take that weed whacker. Let me, I'll bring it to you. Whatever. And so he said, well, Jesse goes, but you got to take them both. And the guy was like, oh, well, I actually came over and I grabbed the other one yesterday. So last night or whatever. He said, so yeah, there is only one here now. And Jesse was like, wait, you took the other one? And the guy was like, well, yeah. He had just told the guy you have to take them both, but then he was like, but you, yes, but oh yeah, and I quit. Yes, he was like, wait a second, you took the other one last night without asking me first. And the guy was like, well, I thought it was garbage out here. And he was like, well, no, now you can't have it at all. And the guy was like, well, I'll bring the other one back. And I was like, oh, Jesse, you solved the problem just because he pre-solved the problem. You can't demand now. So now the garbage came back to us. Because this poor guy
in the same spot.
Yes, I was like, so he said, no, you can't have this one and actually bring the other one back. And so the guy said, okay, I will. So he bikes off, and I was like, okay. So I'm also overly critical of the people in my life. I'm not as critical of myself as I am everyone else in my life. So I was that's my neuroses. So I was sitting there, and I was just like, Erica and I, the 17-year-old, we kind of like locked eyes, and we're like, what are these bees up to? And after like 20 minutes, Jesse was like, do you think I handled that appropriately? And I was like, absolutely not. Yeah, but who am I? And so I would have just done it differently. Whatever. If the guy took the other one last night, I would have gone, oh, well, I mean, I wish you would have asked.
Yeah.
But okay, go ahead, take it, whatever. And so how is it that people just, I don't know, develop these boundaries? That the fact that he had the audacity to be like, bring me that back. Like, no, you said I could have it. I just asked for forgiveness instead of permission.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's just, life circumstances teach us boundaries.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, if he was wronged by someone that took his
Yes. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Oh, that'll never happen to me again.
No.
Then you would think he would take better care of his weed whackers.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Just outside looking like trash.
Yeah.
So
They're just begging to be taken.
exactly. Clearly.
Well, something I wanted to talk about too is our friendship.
Mhm.
So, and just how important authentic friendships and relationships are in life in general. I know part of just my journey to my eating disorder, but in general, like seeking out friendships has been seeking out friendships.
Your white trash beacon started to flicker.
There's connections and the friendships. But I mean, adult friendships are hard.
Yes.
Friendships are hard in general. I mean,
Yeah.
if you have kids, it's like raising kids, it's scary. And
And to have been like, for me, I had kids when everyone else was still like, we were all still kids. So it was like, I'm 17 and all my other friends are coming around and like hanging out with like my baby. And I'm like, I don't know, it's weird, right? And like,
Yeah.
friends are like, cool. And then like hand it off and whatever.
Mhm.
And that was a very isolating time in my life because it was, I had these one little, and then I didn't want him to be weird and alone because as a person who grew up with we were three siblings, I was like, well, I don't really like you, but we have this kid. And so maybe if we just make another one, then then we can figure out like two adults who don't really like each other, barely adults who don't really like each other. And the basis of
siblings will like.
right,
Yeah.
right, exactly. But to have that. So then every phase of life was always, now it's a very weird place to be in towards like, we've got teenage kids, I've got adult kids, and then we have other friends who have either no kids or who are just starting their kid journey. And then to be in this like post-COVID place too, where it's like, I don't bring it up in a way to talk about like, oh, and COVID was crazy, but in a way of like how we changed everything. We all thought like, ooh, we can hit like the pause button or the reset button and we can make the world what we want it to be. And then as soon as here we are now 6 years post, and it is just back, it almost feels like we got back on the hamster wheel and had to run faster to make up for lost time. So in all of that, where it's like, and I don't know, being 38, like I'm aware more of my mortality, I think, than ever, in like a super weird way, where it's like, when you start counting, like, I don't know, maybe I only have like 20 good Christmases left, or, like
decisions seem so much more concrete and like life altering.
Yes.
Yeah.
In a way of like, to be looking at like my 20-year-old son and to be like, you've got the world all ahead of you and you can do anything. And to think about like, okay, you're 20. And then even when you're 30, it's like you barely have anything figured out. But then it's like, at what stage do you go from being like, you think you have everything figured out, to realizing you don't really have anything figured out, but then to looking at like, but everyone around me seems to have it figured out. And really everyone's just like, none of us really have it figured out,
Bingo.
Yeah.
When you realize that, when you come to that realization, it just opens up life. So much.
Right.
Yeah. It's like, wait, why do I care? Yeah.
Jones
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. I've got a Costco membership. I've got what do I care? What do I care about anything?
I do feel that though. Like I feel like I've just been pushed kind of through my adulthood. Like even before having Odin, it was just like on to the next.
What's the next thing you have to check off the list? And then the pressure of like, I mean, I don't know if you had the same experience in like your early 20s, where it's like people around you start getting married and then it spreads like an epidemic, where it's like, now you were maybe a bridesmaid and then you're like, okay, but then like, and now I'm another bridesmaid, or now I'm a personal attendant, and then everybody starts getting married. And what is the compulsion? Is it because we all went to prom a couple of years ago and now here we are wanting to feel like a princess again? Like, and then once it starts happening, it's like you think that you need to, and then you need to go off and start having kids, and then you need to go off. And it's kind of a funny thing to be in, like going through your 30s, where it's like everyone's having their first round of divorces and you're just kind of sitting back like, ooh. Because if you don't pick, not to say that you have to pick right the first time, but why are you picking what you're picking now? Yeah. And is it because everyone around you is like, because we're told that you have to race off to the next destination?
Yeah. And I think that can be said about like jobs too. The careers. I mean, I've been through, so many different positions and career paths, and now I'm in this whole new one. And it's like, we feel like we need to like have it right the first time, or it's gonna be. I mean, you can probably empathize with that too.
Yes, I felt like the check boxes, like you were talking about. It's like, yep, I got to this point. Now I got to do this. It's these days, or when I was in my 20s, it's you had to go to college. That was just the natural path. Then get married. That's the next thing, and then you move up in your job and kids and all these things. And it just kind of felt like that's what we're supposed to do. And when it wasn't turning out that way for me, I felt like isolated, alienated I just felt different than everybody else. And it was uncomfortable place to be in. And it's like, and you talked about seeking friendships and things like that. It's like, who else can relate to that?
Yeah. It's really lonely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a really lonely place to be. And then another opportunity to say you're a failure. You didn't like, it's like, again, we know who's telling us. All these society and this everything that's around us is telling us.
Yes, capitalism and the patriarchy.
Yes.
That's the 1-2 punch. Yeah. Yeah, I think the thing that I love the most about having bees in my backyard is that it is a matriarchal society.
Yes.
It's a sororal society. You've got the queen, and then you've got all these sisters.
Yeah.
And the male bees get kicked out at the end of they get kicked out to die at wintertime, and it's just like, and then the lady bees are just like, yeah, we've got this shit. So it's like, it really is one of those things where you're just like, when women start, and doesn't even necessarily have to be women, I think, on a human level, but because I'm a woman, I can speak from the woman experience.
Yeah, you should lead most things.
Right. Well, I think millennial women are in a place, it's kind of like this weird pinch point of like our moms and grandmas made choices out of necessity.
Yes.
And we are raising our daughters and our nieces to make choices out of desire.
Yep.
So then to be in this place of like bridging the gap between like the feeling of obligation that you have while also like, but there's so much more than this provincial life, you know?
Exactly.
And so it's, I think millennial culture in general too, you know, none of us here are men, so we don't know what the male experience is like. But I think just even from talking to Jessie about the way that you have to show up as men and how that's kind of changing from, you know, our boomer parents and to the younger generation of just, you know, being a little bit softer. And then, so we kind of are a little bit of the generation of like, we still have the, you know, rough around the edges and like the, like self-deprecation and like constant, like beating ourselves up because that's what our parents did to us.
Yes.
Yes. And then to kind of be that, like the cleansing generation, the buffer generation of just like how it passes through us to like radically heal ourselves. So then we can hopefully have, you know, better the next generation.
It's a lot of responsibility to hold. And so when you find people that are like willing to hold that with you and give you grace through it and like see and show up, see you as being an authentic person and showing up authentically, like that's so special. And
I think too, like just from, you know, my anecdotal observations of like the older generations of women too, there is that still, and as someone who has experienced trauma, nobody holds on to their trauma more than a successful woman carrying trauma, or a successful person carrying trauma who has experienced trauma, because it's like, it's kind of this feeling of like my trauma propelled me to be where I am. And so if I didn't have it, would I still be the person that I am? And would I have gotten as far in life as I did or whatever? And I think the cleansing thing that I had heard, and she doesn't even realize that she said this, but she didn't really have anyone in her life who had really, you know, taken care of her as a child. And I've gotten with what I've experienced. And if only someone had invested in me, how much further could I have gone? And it was like, oh, damn, that's so much better. That changes the story from, you know, I have to hold on to it and nurture this like little trauma bubble that I have and fiercely protect it. But then really it's like, then what are you protecting? Are you just protecting little Ashley? That's like, you know, because nobody else was. And so, yeah, imagine how much further we all could have gotten if only there was someone in our corner that was saying like, hey, little gangster, you know, keep on trucking. You got this, you know? So yeah, being that buffer generation to try and, you know, and then to hold space for everybody. And I understand why my parents are the way that they are. And so like, okay, and now I forgive you, even though you don't forgive me ever or yourself, and fine. And then also holding space for our kids where it's like, I get it if you need to take a day today and whatever, but then we'll, you know, pull ourselves up tomorrow and get back at it or whatever. And but then it's the balance of, you know, not coddling too much or, you know, allowing for too much. Yeah. And how do you, being a human being is hard. Yeah. Yes.
I texted you yesterday. I'm like, I think I have a cringe hangover.
You were doing too much. Yeah.
I was doing
too much. You was like a troll.
No, you were doing too much. Some mornings I'll wake up and I'll feel, most mornings, I'll like feel this like vulnerability, like hangover. But it is like when you've moved through most of your life, like tucked in and like holding that shame and those traumas, those experiences, because you're just trying to like survive and maybe protecting other people. But when you've moved through your whole life like that, and like now you're finally like, I mean, it's not black and white. There's still pieces that I hold on to, and that's just like, I think that's human too. But being a little more vulnerable and a little more like authentic and like goofy, and I do wake up feeling like, oh my God.
Is that really dumps like a truck? Right?
No alcohol involved. Just like,
was really shaking that can, wasn't I?
And then you have a choice to let that like impede how you
Yeah.
show up again, like for your children, for other generations, for other ladies out there, other people like trying to navigate life, or do you just continue on?
And I think it comes down to just like, I don't know, I think the gatekeeping mentality of just like, you know, like kind of what I was saying, like anecdotally observing older women that just like, if I had to struggle to get here, then you have to struggle too. And it just feels like, or we can just like make the road a little less, you know, difficult, because what do I gain if I make the road difficult for you? Or, you know, I'm not gaining anything. I'm just preventing you from going as far as you can. And really it's just like, because our, you know, our time on earth is going to come to an end eventually. And so it's like, at the end of it all, it's like, I just want to make it a little bit easier for someone else to go further in their life than I got. It's a relay race. It's like, I'll go this far and then go as far as you can with the baton. And then the next one can go. And then it's just, you know, we're born in the time and era that we were born into, under the circumstances that we were born. And go as fast and far as you can, and whatever, take breaks along the way if you need to, whatever. I don't know. I couldn't imagine what that would be like, but you know, someday maybe.
Yes. You know, sip of a LaCroix.
Just find moments of joy and peace.
Sunshine.
Yes. I think that's, I don't know, the only thing that I could say for myself is like, you know, like finding joy in this, in the little moment, coming in and it's like, this is a great chair with a great plush, this is a nice blanket. And then to just like, to be able to sit here in this moment, it's, you know, if I could pick anything that I could be doing on a Sunday, anything in the world, no time restraints, no money restraints, would I be right here, right now? Who knows? You know what I mean? Or would I be? Would I be on a beach somewhere? Or would I have eaten something better than cold pizza, you know, or whatever, maybe. But it's like, at the end of it all, it's like, rather than being obsessed with the circumstances, find joy in the circumstances. You know, this is a very nice blanket, and I'm sitting here with a couple of lovely ladies. And so it's very Jack Dawson of me, you know, and now here I am on the Titanic having caviar with you fine people.
Oh my gosh. I mean, we could list off so many takeaways. I know at the beginning when you were talking about being in that box, I kind of felt like that was my life until, I don't know, late 30s. I kind of still feel like there's that mentality again. It's what we learn. And then it's just the awareness piece of, okay, I don't like that mentality. I don't like that thinking. So what am I going to do about it? And I think that's just kind of going to be a lifelong progression for me. As time goes on, I just get the awareness sooner, and hopefully it just won't even be automaticity anymore. It'll be like, nope, that's not even an option to think like that anymore. So we talk about that stuff all the time. You brought up boundaries. We talk about that.
Like patience, like practice, you know, like life is like a practice run after practice run after practice run. And there's really no final edit.
No, maybe at the next parade you won't booty shake as much, but
Actually, maybe I'll just take back to my booty shake. I don't know.
My favorite was, so we were here at the parade, of course, that marched straight down through downtown St. Cloud, and I had my stepdaughter and niece, and we were sitting there, and you know, really. And I think this is the takeaway for me is, are you going to wait for the people around you to woo, or are you going to woo, you know, because like the two little girls were sitting there and I was like, ladies, if you want that candy, you got to get the attention. You got to woo. And they were like, stop wooing. I will never stop wooing, because I woo. And that's once a woo girl, always a woo girl. And it's just, you got to make your own destiny. And if the firefighters are not going to throw candy your way, woo for it.
And you know what my takeaway was from all of this? I got a phone call from Ashley right at the start of the morning. It's like, I hate parades. I hate parade day. It's whatever.
Yes.
Who was out there just
find joy in every moment?
Yes.
You know? Yeah. I do hate parade day, because you try and get across and get around from And when people come in and it's like, none of you people, as soon as the parade was over, did any of those people come shopping? Absolutely not. Everybody leaves and whatever. And the only time they come into the store is when they want to use your bathroom. And it's so nobody's buying anything from me. And they're getting their kids' grubby fingers all over my furniture and whatever. And then when the parade's done, everybody leaves. But yes, I hate parade day, but also, yeah.
And someone stopped you and was asking about, like, one of the people in the parade was asking Ashley about a plant. Like, was like, I'm like, she's like, whoa, you kind of lost
Here. We'll talk plants later. I'm moving right now. Let me woo.
Okay, well, I think you and Kelly were trying to end it.
I was going to say we need to have Ashley back. We just scratched the surface.
Yeah, whatever it takes.
Well, thanks for joining us.
Every week, we do like to share a moment of celebration. So something that celebrates recovery, things we've learned. And we also like to hear from you. How are you celebrating recovery or a mental health win? And I think this week, for me, meditation and, just the mindfulness, something is, I've always struggled with it because I had always had to clear my mind, which my mind just feels like it's never quiet.
Mm-hmm.
So I was doing this exercise or this like seminar type thing, this workshop. It was online. It was one of those things where, again, try to clear your mind, be quiet and all these things. But I found my mind just thinking about all the things I had to do during this like whole hour.
So hard.
But towards the end, I started to kind of get into it. But I felt like I still got a lot out of it, even though I didn't do what I was supposed to, all that wisdom of, you got to clear your mind, being so intentional.
Mm-hmm.
But I felt it was still really good. And I was like, oh, I mean, don't get me wrong. You probably should be clear the mind, get rid of the distractions. But I still felt like it was very empowering for me. So I felt like it's still beneficial, even though I didn't do it the way I was supposed to. Just kind of letting the mind do what it needed to do.
Exactly. That's so awesome. And then, like, I feel like that prevents us from doing that a lot of time. Like, I know I'm not going to be present anyway.
Right.
I have such a hard time focusing. And
Yep.
I think you just like took, you just kind of took advantage of that time that you had, and
It still worked out.
Exactly. Yeah. I was trying to think back this week. It's been kind of just another one of those weeks, but I was talking about my sad girl walks that I go on, where just like I just walk, and not for like fitness, not for anything else, but just like I know that I need to just take 10 minutes and just kind of just go for a walk and clear my head, and just kind of like what you said, just like have that time.
Yeah.
And so that's when it might not be helpful always, but it was helpful at least for this last week for me. So,
Yeah. Like that you recognize, hey, I need to take a little break here. And like you said, even 10 minutes can do the trick. So.
Yeah, no expectations. Just,
exactly.
My mind. So, well, we'd love to hear from you how you celebrate recovery, or even just celebrate taking care of yourself and taking some of those moments out of your day to clear your mind. So you can let us know in the comments or on the street, whenever you see us next. So do that anytime. And of course, we're closing, as we always do, with Recovery Rising is here to remind you that recovery is not only possible, it's worth celebrating.